on far enough. Question number 12, Eugenie Sage.
Tēnā koe, Mr Speaker, thank you. My question is to the Minister of Conservation and asks, does she stand by all her statements?
Mr Speaker.
Honourable Maggie Barry.
Yes, I do.
Supplementary?
Supplementary question, Eugenie Sage.
When the Minister said yesterday that she was concerned that Auckland Council had allowed the felling of centuries-old kauri, is she also concerned that her government plans to strengthen landholder rights, change the RMA and further weaken environmental criteria in that Act?
That is not what I said.
Honourable Maggie Barry.
That is not what I said, Mr Speaker, and RMA issues are not my ministerial responsibility.
Point of order, Mr Speaker.
Point of order, Eugenie Sage.
The functions of the Department of Conservation under Section 6 of the Conservation Act include to advocate for the conservation of natural and historic resources generally. That is part of the Minister's responsibility.
The first part of the member asked two questions. That's the difficulty. She asked one, I might have been able to help, but she asked two questions about comments the Minister said yesterday, and the Minister said I didn't make those comments. The question was therefore addressed. Supplementary question, Eugenie Sage.
Supplementary. Does the Minister believe that it is acceptable under the RMA for private landholders to be able to cut down centuries-old kauri trees when less than 1% of the original extent of kauri forest remains in New Zealand?
Honourable Maggie Barry.
I do not support the felling of mature kauri trees. That is not something that, as the Minister of Conservation, I would ever support.
Supplementary question, Eugenie Sage.
Is the Minister comfortable that in the case of the Titirangi kauri forest, the RMA has totally failed to ensure the protection of New Zealand's most treasured species and habitat on private land, and it is likely to be even weaker in future when the government amends it to strengthen private property rights and strip out environmental criteria?
Honourable Maggie Barry.
The RMA is not under my ministerial responsibility. However, I would say this, that the changes, the reforms that we brought in 2009 around the RMA have not weakened in any way or changed the protections of these trees. The laws that we have put in place are left to the councils and their communities to decide what it is that they want to do with trees. The Auckland City Council, in this case, has responsibility for this particular tree. I would urge them to re-examine what they are doing, and my colleague, the Honourable Dr Nick Smith, has spoken with the Mayor of Auckland City, who has undertaken to look at the options. He expressed surprise, which I share, which is that the Auckland Council chose to use their discretion not to notify around that particular tree. I would hope that that can be changed. They are meeting tomorrow to have further discussions, as I understand it.
That concludes questions for oral answer. The House comes to the debate on the Budget Policy Statement 2000.